All right, first off, I want to start off by giving, hold up.
Big Machine Labor Group presents Soundtrack to Summer. Hey y'all, I'm Thomas Rhett and you're watching GSTV. Check out a sneak peek of my new album, Bottle Woman, from a small town. You know them small town girls, the lemon drop on their lips might have a Bible verse. Tattooed up on their wrists, they singing every single song of every single. Just your minutes violin is expected.
All right, let's get started in a minute, y'all. Give me a second. First off, I want to start off by giving our praises to Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shah Ba'Shem Rakakadash. We also want to give a double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who taught us His word, and the brothers who teach down with sincerity. I also want to give a salutations to the elect scattered across the four corners of the earth, waiting for the return of our Lord Yahweh. Yahweh meaning He exists, Yahweh Shah meaning He delivers and He saves. All right, and right now we got a lot going on with this Trump's big beautiful bill just passed, and this bill will bring in more riots and more uproar of the people, and this will usher in martial law. This bill will usher in Jacob Trouble with the food stamps, 800 and 900 billion deducted from food stamps and HUD. Also with the green states, red states, cuts, police cuts, fire department cuts, hospital cuts, everything. But the main part of the bill that I wanted to get into is the ICE and FEMA camp part. That's why I'm just gonna make this a short part. Hopefully I get to the rest at camp today. But this is the first precept I wanted to bring out, because with that big beautiful bill, a lot of money, trillions of dollars are going into policing, military, and ISIS, which is going to come down on Jacob, which is also, if you read in the big beautiful bill, it's also going into camps, FEMA camps. The detention camps is the name they're using for FEMA camps, but we know it in the scriptures. So I'm gonna bring it out in the scriptures. All right. Fear none of these things which thou said, suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulations 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give you the crown of life. All right. And the other precept. It was Revelation 12 and 12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil has come down unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth that they have a great time. They have a great, but a short time. All right, and this big beautiful bill is great wrath among the people. Also, we can go into the precept of Isaiah 17, that cruel king. All right, that's another one. And also, we can go back into Revelations of the he who was given the power to take peace from the earth. Goes into the red dragon. All right, because I don't want to linger this out. I'm headed to work. But yeah, they're opening up a lot of FEMA camps, all right, because we know that's what they're going to use to put the Israelites in, which is they're already using to put the southern tribes in, like Issachar, mainly right now. I ain't really seen nobody else suffering from this right now besides Issachar, which is the so-called Mexicans, Hispanics, Latinos. which is there at the Tribe of Issachar, and they're getting put under a lot of fire too, but that's going to come for the Israelites too, all right, because they're eventually going to throw us all in FEMA camps and prison camps, all right. There's so much more to talk about on this big, beautiful bill, but after reading these, I'm going to just get into this video.
Welcome back in here to Live Now from Fox. I'm Andy Mack. Earlier on today, President Trump visited a very controversial new migrant detention facility in the Florida Everglades. He was flanked by DHS Secretary Kristi Noem, the Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, among others. Let's take you right now out to Caroline Shively with this report of the tour there in South Florida.
President Trump touring Alligator Alcatraz Tuesday, a new migrant detention center near the Florida Everglades.
We're surrounded by miles of treacherous swampland, and the only way out is really deportation.
The 3,000-bed state facility will be the largest in the country, right next to an airstrip, with Florida National Guard members deputized as immigration judges.
They come here, say they already are been ordered to be deported. You drive them 2,000 feet to the runway, and then they're gone. It's a one-stop shop.
The detention center is in the Big Cypress National Preserve, home to alligators, water moccasins, and Burmese pythons. The president has suggested the local wildlife will discourage any escapes. Not so, say some protesters trying to protect the Everglades.
This is not a scary place. The alligators and the pythons will not be security guards. They are absolutely terrified of people.
It's not good for the water, it's not good for the wildlife and the habitat.
Illegal border crossings have plummeted under the Trump administration, and Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem says the tough federal stance is leading to an increase in self-deportations.
We believe it's over 1 million, possibly more than that.
A Fox News poll released Monday finds that 67% of Americans are concerned about illegal immigration, but a separate Fox survey says 53% think the administration has gone too far in its enforcement. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
Thank you so much. And it is a new concept expected to open this month into July. And you can look right now live there at the Everglades in South Florida, courtesy of our Earth Cam partners. As you can see the sun setting on this region after President Trump visiting this, talking about immigration and much more. We also saw more from the DHS, from Homeland Security on social media, as well as they posted this AI-generated image of those alligators, talking about Alligator Alcatraz wearing the immigration and customs enforcement hats. Let's take you out to a conversation I had, a very interesting one, talking about the wildlife, exactly talking about that and what it means for this area, what's it all about, what might be lurking there in the swamps. Let's listen into this. In here to Live Now from Fox, I'm Andy Mack. Casually called Alligator Alcatraz, the controversial temporary migrant detention facility will open this month in July in the Florida Everglades, and it's surrounded by those natural barriers, surrounded by swamps filled with alligators, pythons, and other dangerous creatures. As they made this announcement, President Trump was on the ground in the Florida Everglades in this remote region. You can see some of that terrain there is very dangerous, and much like the Alcatraz in San Francisco, this facility also has a natural barrier around it. Let's continue this conversation and dive into some of the wildlife. We're going to be joined right now by global wildlife expert, TV host, conservationist, Forrest Galante. Thank you so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox. And it's called Alligator Alcatraz. What kind of dangers, what kind of wildlife is out there in the Florida Everglades?
Is that Everglades ecosystem, but it's not an area to be taken lightly. I mean, in addition to alligators, there are much scarier American crocodiles, the invasive Burmese pythons, there's diamondback rattlesnakes, cottonmouths, mountain lions, black bears, snapping turtles. Believe it or not, there's even bull sharks that will roam into the Everglades. So there is a plethora of wild predators that actually will sort of protect and insulate or keep people at least from escaping from this Alcatraz, and that's before you talk about the crazy heat and the inclement weather that Florida has. I mean, it really is a sort of an island over there.
And can we talk about it? Can you list it off all those predators out there? How do they all fit? How do they coexist in this environment?
Well, because the Everglades is...
Well, this kind of reminds me, like of that black and white Will Smith movie, where he was trying to escape Esau because they were in slavery. All right, and they had to fight against alligators, and some Jake got eaten by alligators. So like trying to escape this place from a FEMA camp is gonna be hell. All right, you definitely gonna have to have the Lord with you to get you through that, and make sure you don't get eaten by an alligator or bitten by a snake or whatever else is out there. The Lord will have to be with you if anybody would get sent to this place that's of the elect.
Such an incredible wetland and vibrant ecosystem. It's able to support an amazing abundance of life, and so that includes small prey animals, mesopredators like raccoons and possums, and then that feeds the entire foundation for all of these larger predators. Now, a lot of those are native, like the alligators and the rattlesnakes, but then you add in things like the Burmese pythons, recent evidence that more and more bull sharks have been moving into the Everglades, and you just have this sort of perfect storm of American predators all in one location that makes it unbelievable. And all those things are hungry because they're all competing for food, so it's not a great place to go wandering around.
No, it is not. And so many teeth, so much venom is in there. Can we talk about the alligators first? Because there are obviously the American alligator, different kind of parts of the alligator. Can you talk specifically about what the alligator brings? Because we know it's been around for millions of years growing. How big can they be? How long have they been around? And how have they really adapted to be this predator that they are?
Yeah, I mean, there are reports of alligators getting up to 20 feet. More realistically, they get up to about 13 or 14 feet. They can weigh upwards of nearly 1,000 pounds, so they can be big, heavy predators. They have an incredible jaw pressure of around 2,000 psi, and when they bite, like most crocodilians, they latch down and they go into a death roll. And so if you're bitten by one, the way that they actually kill you is not with that size, it's not with that force or those incredible teeth, it's from that roll, which actually rips limb from body. And so it's a very brutal way to go. So if you ever are bitten by an alligator, make sure you roll with it, because that is the sort of finishing move that they have to take out any prey species, and that includes an unlucky human being.
Yeah, and of course you can see some of them in the water on land. How can they adapt to be in both places? Because I know they get on the land because they have to, are cold-blooded, they do these sorts of things. How do they work both in water and on land?
Yeah, well, as ectothermic reptiles, they require moving out on land in order to use the sun for energy. However, they're aquatic by nature. They're an ambush predator that lives in the water and will ambush things by being incredibly stealthy and silent and moving under the water. So they've really filled this incredible ecological niche of a predator that is very well suited to being in water and on land, and that is what has made them the apex predator of the Everglades for millions of years, as you pointed out.
Yeah, and talking about reptiles, let's move over to snakes, because we know, talking about pythons and different venomous snakes on the ground, what types exist in the Everglades? How big can they get?
Yeah, I mean, there are the native species like your cottonmouth, your eastern diamondback rattlesnake, your pygmy rattlesnake, and then the one that everybody's talking about is the invasive Burmese python, which was brought in for the pet trade. A storm broke down, at least as the common belief, and released those animals. Now they've gone rampant in the Everglades. There's estimated to be somewhere upwards of 500,000, 300,000 or so Burmese pythons living in the Florida Everglades. Now, that's a nice one that you're seeing on screen there, but they can get to nearly 20 feet long and weigh hundreds of pounds. So, you know, they're a big snake, 250 pounds or so they can weigh up to. So they are a pretty deadly predator. And in certain parts of the world, like the Philippines, there actually have been documented killing and eating people. So they just add to this whole thing. And that's before we even talk about the mammals, right? Then we've got bears, we've got mountain lions. the weather, as we mentioned, bull sharks that have been moving in. There are just so many incredible creatures in the Everglades.
Yeah, that is so very impressive. You won't want to come across anything like that. You wouldn't want to come across anything
well, you
like
wouldn't,
that.
Andy. You wouldn't. I'd love to. I'd love to go trek through the Everglades and try and survive from Alcatraz. I think that would be incredible.
Let's talk about that, because as you mentioned, just the surrounding there, it is a very remote location. You talk about some of the animals, some of the wildlife, but just talk about the environment, the terrain, the swamp. How dangerous is just that?
Extremely. You know, first of all, getting lost is incredibly likely. You cannot drink that water, so dehydration in that hot Florida sun is a high risk. The weather is very unpredictable across the Everglades. That's what makes it a wetland, right? Thunderstorms, heat and humidity, potential hurricanes, lightning storms, flooding, there's fires. In addition to all of that, you have some of the worst insects on the planet, toxic stinging plants, biting mosquitoes, ants that are absolutely terrible. And so if you were to actually get out of Alcatraz, you're then standing in nipple-deep mud with water overhead, alligators around, all of these things that I just mentioned that can kill you from exposure, all these things that can kill you as predators. I mean, it really is a fantastic isolationist location, because getting out from there on foot for most people is practically impossible.
And can I ask you, because it's aptly named Alcatraz because of what is going on in San Francisco, everyone knows the rock that is out there. Which one is more difficult to try to get out from? Would it be the Alcatraz of San Francisco or the Alcatraz of Florida?
In today's modern world, with white shark populations where they are, which is the inhibitor in the San Francisco and Alcatraz, I would say that your likelihood of surviving the swim from Alcatraz in San Francisco to the mainland is greater than surviving escaping Alligator Alcatraz.
Very good. I just wanted to get you about that. We talk about alligators, different animals like this. Is it the smaller creatures, kind of like you mentioned with some of the mosquitoes, some of the bugs? Could that really be the most dangerous part? Is that fair?
I think the most dangerous part when it comes to those insects is actually the mental degradation that would take place. When you're being bitten by tens of thousands of mosquitoes, all constantly, all the time, the frustration, what you're feeling, then you add the heat stroke, and you add the bad weather, all of these things compound in a survival situation to leading to you making poor decisions like, oh, I'll just swim across this murky pool, or let's just take the shortcut because I'm so frustrated. I've been so mentally degraded from going through these difficult conditions. And it's those poor decisions that then lead to the negative encounter with a predator that can be life-ending. So it's sort of a combination of factors. When you compare that to, say, San Francisco, it's like, well, can I make the swim? It's going to be cold. There may be a great white shark, but that's not as many compounding factors as you're facing with the Alligator Alcatraz.
Yeah,